Welcome back to Seek Strength. Today's video is brought to you by Seek Sleep. This is our sleep supplement. This is the first in range of our supplements, and it is orientated towards sleep. Why does it help your sleep? Because it contains some of the most important nutrients you need for sleep. Get it at seekstrength.com. Now, today we're back with S&C Coaches React. It's been a couple of weeks since you did one. We've got Noah Lyles today, and we've a couple of throwers lined up because throwers are always at it, but Noah Lyles is this week. Now, Noah has won a lot of different international competitions for USA and athletics and sprinting, but I'm just going to tell you the one that'll blow them all away. He's 100 meters is 9.86 seconds. So that's the only thing. He's 200 meters is 19.31, which is obviously incredibly impressive as well. But that 100 meters at 9.86.
I know, going sub 10 seconds at 100 meters is... Everybody in the world should know your name.
That's ludicrous. That's like his 2019 World Championships in 200 meters, 2022, loads of Diamond League medals, loads of World Relays, World Under 20s, 2014 Youth Olympics champion. But that 9.86 100 meters, just in terms of the things we can all appreciate. If you said 400 kilo squat or deadlift or something, you're like, yeah. And that a sub 10 second 100 meters, friggin' ridiculous.
Frightening altogether.
Oh my god, these have all something about Chrome recently. Maybe the AI is slowly obliterating it.
Eroding it.
Erode I barely know her.
Oh my god.
So we've gone through Noah's Instagram, and thankfully he's uploaded quite a bit of his S&C work on his Instagram. So obviously this doesn't give us the whole picture, and we don't know absolutely everything he does, but as usual, we like to talk about the good points that we see from these athletes, and Noah has quite a few good points. So we're going to start off with, he has some Nordic Falls and a phenomenal exercise for hamstring development.
I think in Noah's case, you could just call them Nordic, very slow, lower to the ground and come straight back up again.
They're such good quality.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a sprinter, like, Nordics are your bread and butter. They're your everything, you know, having good, strong, controlled hamstrings. But these are phenomenal.
These are so controlled. And he doesn't have a whole lot of that kind of hip hinge backwards. You know, people cheat a little bit where they send their hips back. His torso remains so rigid. Like, for a lot of people, you'll get a benefit from doing the eccentric only on these, so not even coming back up because it's not possible. When you're doing these, a lot of people will add bands around their chest to assist them on the way back up. I don't really like the assistance of bands on any bodyweight movement. I don't like it on pull-ups. I don't like it on these. Maybe not even on pistols if you could rig it that way. I like for these, realistically, is you keep trying these until you can do them. And it sounds like the most meathead, rudimentary way of achieving these. But it's very, very similar to how you would improve pull-ups. If you can't do a pull-up, you jump up, you do an eccentric, and then you try and pull yourself up as close as you can, and then you do an eccentric from there on the way back down. Like, you just try and push through the points as much as possible. And it's same with these. You would fall all the way down until you feel that looseness happen, and then you drop. And then each time you do them over this course of seasons or weeks or months, and then you slowly try and get closer to the floor. Eventually then you either use a little push up with your hands, or you try and contract up as much as possible and then assist yourself further. And eventually then you try and get to that full range of motion.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say most people won't achieve this level. I think if you're trying to get stronger hamstrings, maybe you're a field sports athlete, maybe you're in track and field, like in Noah's case, getting to 70% of this would be very, very good for you, you know. These are phenomenal.
If you could lower yourself under that control, you're going to get a huge amount of the benefits of these. Obviously, the concentric portion is very, very important, but the fact that you could lower yourself under that much control, you'll get a massive amount of benefit, and you'll feel like your hamstrings are going to tear for a while, but they are a great exercise. Now, we have some squats from Noah as well, and you might think, oh, if you haven't seen some of our videos or you've seen a little bit of our stuff before, maybe you've missed some of our S&C stuff.
No.
You might think, oh, Dad's going to hate this because he's doing half squats. But we're actually quite a big fan, and if you've watched our thrower stuff, you'll see that we actually don't mind athletes doing half depth squats, because the most important thing is they're moving a heavy weight fast. Now, in this case, ideally, you'd like to see him moving them faster, to be honest. But he's still getting a benefit from these, and it's actually not that big an issue.
Yeah. The other thing, like with the... We'd like to see him moving faster. We also just don't have context for what this session is. I think that a lot of the time when you look at an athlete training, this could be like he could have had 5 days of intensive training beforehand, and this is just a lighter day. He could be working on some knee stability. But these are actually really nice squats.
Yeah.
Like, very nice motor pattern overall. I really think like great bar positioning. It's not super high on his back. It's certainly not low bar. Like, it's still a high bar back squat. But it's nice. It's controlled. His upper back positions are very, very good. He's not tending to round forward, which is something you very commonly see with track and field athletes. They just don't have that kind of postural awareness in the bottom of the squat, and particularly as they start driving up out of the hole. He does a very, very good job here. So yeah, I'd love to see what a heavy or more aggressive squat would look like from him.
So what we very likely hear is that he just might not be able to squat deeper in an effective manner. So with a reasonable position, he might have to hugely tilt his torso forward. He might have a huge amount of lower back flexion if he gets deeper in that squat, because you can see even though his toes are quite far over, or his knees are quite far over his toes, it doesn't look like there's a lot more room there for him to get deeper in the squat, even though there's a huge amount of range of motion left for an ass to grass squat. So normally if you're doing squats like this, you would look at the strength of the lifter, how strong they are, what their body weight is. Strength, of course, is fundamental for power production, and there's other videos we've done on that, and it's a hugely important part of moving as fast as possible. But you still do like to see the weights moving quite fast in training, and I suspect he could move these a lot faster, given that we know he can power clean this.
Yeah.
So we're definitely missing some context, but still very nice squats. Now, interesting enough, we have some front squats as well. So some more anterior focused on the front squat, or on the squatting mechanics.
It's the level of control is very similar from the last one. Mm-hmm. Like, very, very good kind of motor patterns overall, very, very good positions. He's hitting at pretty much every point there. The one thing that's noteworthy for sprinters squatting is sprinters will never have dorsiflexion in their ankles. Sprinters are, it's like asking a giraffe not to have a long neck. That's just what sprinters are. Sprinters have very stiff, very elastic ankles. Their foot has to work like that for them to put as much power as possible into the ground. It's just not something they're ever going to have. So in his case, he's doing very, very good squats with the level of ankle mobility that a sprinter will have. Now, if he wanted to transition out of sprinting and go into something like weightlifting, then maybe he'd have to do quite a lot of ankle mobility work. But I think these are very good squats, all things considered.
Yeah, they are. I would not have expected these squats, to be honest, from a 200 meter runner, not this kind of quality. Normally, a lot of times, not to take anything away from them, but they get by a lot on talent and, of course, training really hard on the track. And you don't have your hopes up when it comes to their S&C work to see such good quality movement across all the stuff we've seen so far.
A lot of sprinting coaches as well kind of rag on lifting weights. They're not into the S&C, they're into the track work. So it is worth noting that a lot of sprinters who don't do I knew some sprinters where he went to university who used to lift weights in secret because they wanted to have the physique of somebody who lifted weights, but their sprinting coach wouldn't let them lift.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mental.
Yeah.
Now, we've got some series of power cleans here. So this is one of the more recent ones. Now, he does wear weightlifting shoes in a couple of different videos, but this one is doing a power clean and a split jerk. Look, I will say this is probably the only negative thing really in these videos is that I don't really like seeing him doing the split jerk in particular in these what appear to be kind of running or endurance shoes like Adidas, shoes meant for long distance running. The sole is very, very soft, and you can see there's a lot of movement in the split jerk position. And just given that he's such a high caliber athlete, it's just not worth the risk to do these in his running shoes.
Anytime I'm trying to explain this to someone, I just liken it to putting a very expensive glass vase on top of a soft pillow and expecting it not to get fucked up. Mm-hmm. Something bad will happen at some point. Maybe it's not necessarily bad in terms of injuries, but certainly in terms of the amount of force you can put through the floor, the kind of relative neurological stimulus activity you can force those muscles to have. Everything is negatively influenced by you having those soft, squishy soles.
Then we've some lighter power cleans. So we see this is one of the most more recent. We don't see a whole lot in the last year or so. But we've got a power clean, front squat. Very good depth on these. We can see that the dorsiflexion is hugely limited, but he's still maintaining great position. Now, you could imagine if that got heavier, then we would see some punishment in terms of the back angle. But the depth of these, well below parallel, but you can kind of see that knee just hits that solid wall and can't go any further. But he's doing a great job of maintaining good position.
One thing you'll notice with all of Noah's power cleans, and you'll see in the next video as well, his pulling under the bar, like pulling himself down onto the bar as he's pulling under, is so good. And with most track and field athletes, you don't see that. So most of the time you'll see them overemphasizing that massive extension at the top, not really working hard to pull their chest down or pull that front rack down onto the barbell. He does a great job of this, and he goes to open hands in the catch, but he does such a good job in what you might call the third pull, or that pull under portion of the power clean.
Now here's 120 kilo power cleans, and he does it for a double, incredibly good quality power clean. I really was not expecting the weight of these, considering his front squat, but also the quality of the technique. Very long limb lifter, incredibly appropriately built for his sport, but the quality of these power cleans is so good. There's the main thing we're looking for when you're doing power cleans for athletes is you're not looking, can they catch it in a deep squat, which is what we'd look for in weightlifter. What we look for in our athletes, when you're looking for a good quality power clean, you're looking for, does that look safe? That's the first most important thing, because then you can build on everything from there. Is there no starfish catch? Is there no huge amount of upper back rounding in the catch position? If they had to go deeper, is it more likely that they would hurt themselves? Does it look like they could ever go deeper in terms of, what does this look like is going to happen if it gets too heavy? And then ideally you're monitoring load. After that, then you're looking for is how fast can they move that barbell?
Yeah, I think another thing that's good to note on this video, and like he's been wearing weightlifting shoes in the last couple of videos, but this one he's wearing weightlifting shoes and he's wearing like a weightlifting style Velcro belt. It's clear that weightlifting, or like the weightlifting movements, are definitely something that Noah's concentrated on. This isn't just like arriving to the gym and doing a couple of power cleans maybe every so often. It looks like he's actually put in quite a lot of work to develop that skill.
Yeah, someone has very clearly coached Noah. So this is from 29 weeks ago, 265 pounds, so 120 odd kilos. A couple of different things he does great that normally we just do not see in athletes doing power cleans. Maybe if you were to look at American football players, for example, in a similar scenario, he's really slow and controlled start position, really deliberate dynamic start, really deliberate for his start position, so he's really consistent with it. He's getting set up. It's a static start position, so he's holding that start position for a couple of seconds, making sure his back's in a good position, making sure his hips at the correct height, making sure his arms are tensed, so he's nice and smooth off the floor. Then we see a great acceleration in the second pull. We see just a tiniest little bit of arm bend in relation to his length. It doesn't even matter really. Preferably it's not there, but it's so minimal and the contact is so smooth, and he puts so much power into that turnover. He's doing all the right and important aspects for a power clean for an athlete.
100%.
Great pull under, super active in the pull under. A lot of times what we see with athletes is they are really good at pulling the barbell high. So if we look maybe our throwers, when they power clean a barbell, it's 200 kilos, but it's just standing, and they catch it down here and they rack it up a little bit. It's supremely impressive, obviously, but one of the most useful aspects of the power cleans, especially for sport, is going from a contracted position to a relaxed position back to a contracted position, and that pull under is very useful for that. So you're contracting in the full extension, and then you relax as fast as possible, and then you catch it underneath, and he's really good at pulling himself underneath. So that lets us know that he's very good from going to that contracted position into that relaxed position and then into the catch position.
You'll see as well on these, so obviously these are kind of some of the heavier power cleans we've seen from him. He has quite a wide catch position, but the really important thing to note here is, so Garth mentioned starfish catches from a lot of like the American football players when they're doing their heavy power cleans, where they shoot their feet out really wide. In this case, where we see Noah having a wider than squat stance catch position, the important thing here is he has a good level of knee flexion and his knees are pushed out to the side. So at no point is he in that starfish position. So obviously starfish position is almost straight legs or tiny knee bend. and almost straight legs out at that extreme angle actually put our knees under quite a lot of pressure. So this is very, very good, very safe technique for a sprinter to be using.
Now, one more variant of the Olympic lifts we've seen him use just a little bit, so again, this is from like 3 or 4 years ago, is actually some snatches and zero armband in the snatches and just really nice turnover. Obviously, very, very light, relative to these power clean and relative just to any kind of heavy weights. But the quality movement is still there, so still very high. So clearly someone has either helped him a lot or Noah has gone after this himself and really put in a lot of effort into learning the Olympic lifts in the correct manner.
Either way, polite golf clap to whoever did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that level of movement doesn't just happen. Like
No.
every so often you'll get a freak who'll come into the gym, he can move a barbell around quite well. In this case, this is nicely refined and in my opinion, probably coached technique.
It does look coached. Yeah, it's too deliberate to be, I think, self-taught in this.
Particularly those like the static start, the smoother pull off the ground. Very, very nice.
The armband is something people tend towards rather than deviating away from it.
Yeah.
So last thing we have is just some deadlifts from Noah. So we've seen 1 or 2 other videos of him deadlifting. Again, super deliberate technique. Now, deadlifting for track and field athletes isn't something that would rank super high on the list of exercises that are important. To be obviously dependent on the athlete, but what would probably feature more often, specifically in athletes who are trying to run, would be either RDLs, stiff-legged deadlifts, RDLs from blocks, in terms of the kind of hip hinge motion like that. Probably wouldn't be going crazy on the deadlifts unless it kind of displayed the ability or desire to do it a little bit more often. It would feature, but it would be thought about a little bit more. It'd be probably feature a little bit less as a direct deadlift from the floor.
Yeah, it's definitely rare enough you'll see sprinters doing. Obviously, this isn't crazy heavy. I'm saying that in relation to we've seen him power clean within 10 kilos of this weight as well. So it's not very heavy for him. To be honest, in terms of deadlifts, most sprinters I've seen deadlifting have been deadlifting using a hex bar.
Yes.
But everything we said previously about his lifting holds true on the deadlift as well. Very, very nice form. None of the common errors you'd see with a mixed grip conventional deadlift, like nice flat back, doesn't shoot his hips back super quick, doesn't have any of that passive elbow bend in the supinated arm. It all looks very, very good.
You'd probably see, of course, then clean pulls would be different, or clean high pulls, or clean pulls with a pull or a rebend wouldn't be kind of considered the same as the deadlift. So it probably would feature some clean pulls in the athletics programs or something similar like that. So not a traditional conventional mixed grip deadlift in runners. It'd be, you'd categorize those differently as they would be more towards a different fashion. So obviously deadlift would be primarily strength based in the gym, but hopefully with an outcome then on your power output. Thanks for watching today's video. Hope you enjoyed today's S&C Coaches React. If you've any athletes you'd like us to react to, if they have some training footage up, or they're a very good athlete that we might not have heard of course, there's literally hundreds of sports out there and lots of good athletes in them, and hundreds and thousands of athletes in those sports, so we won't see them all. So it does help hugely if you guys point them out in the comments so we can go look at, and we'd be greatly appreciated to do a video on that.
If you're an athlete in your off season looking to do some strength and hypertrophy work, check out the link below. It'll bring you to the off-season strength and hypertrophy program by Seeker Strength. It's 4 weeks, 4 sessions per week. There's 2 blocks there, so if you've 2 months of an off season, it's absolutely perfect. Thanks for watching.